Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to another Patch Notes video. Today, we got a lot to go over. We have women being cheated out of the World's Strongest Woman contest because guess what? A man won. We're also talking about calorie counting in the realm of the health industry and fitness industry in general. And then we got a little bit of Canadian politics. We got some developments on the becoming a U.S. state side of things. And to top it all off, we have a Power World update trailer and Assassin's Creed Shadows update trailer. Let's get right into the news. All right, dealing with this first. Title revoked from World's Strongest Woman after organizers discover she is a man. Already starting off strong. All right, I'm going to rewind this shite real quick. Hold up. Wait a minute. All right, are we ready?
A professional lifter who was crowned the world's strongest woman during a competition in Texas this month has been stripped of her title after organizers
there has
say
been updates on this. Also, there we go. Make myself a little bit bigger.
The shocking discovery that she was born a man. American Jamie Booker, who officials now claim failed to disclose her biological sex before competing in the Women's Open category of the official Strongman Games World Championship, bested 2018 winner Britain's Andrea Thompson by 1 point. Booker took to her now private Instagram account before the controversy to thank her fans for the support, including people who donated more than $1,500 to send the athlete to the competition.
I want to say thank you to my coach, obviously, and to my gym mates for always pushing me and encouraging me, and same thing to my fellow competitors today.
This is something that I've seen happen several times when it comes to these, I mean, for lack of better words, these fucking cowards, right? These pussies. They try to get into the male side of the sport, and then they realize that they are not cut out for how cutthroat the male competition is. So when you have a setup like this, where the staff either they don't give a fuck or they knew beforehand and they allowed it to happen and didn't expect to get caught, so now they're backpedaling. When you have something like this happen, it is usually due to the fact that they cannot compete with their own gender, so they have to get some sort of advantage. And in this case, it's literally genetic. That's fucked up. There is a reason why there are weight classes, even on the male side of, say, something like UFC or powerlifting, or, I mean, fucking, even strongman is technically one weight class where it is literally a massive behemoth of a man lifting heavy shit, right? And sometimes doing endurance things. Whereas, like, the women's is fairly similar, but it's at a much lower rung of competition overall, due to the fact that they just don't have the genetics to push it that far. You can give them all the fucking TRT, fucking whatever other steroids are out there, and it still wouldn't be enough.
You are all insanely badass women, and it was an honor just to even share the stage with you.
But the celebration was short-lived when rumors started to circulate about Booker's biological sex, especially after a video on social media boosted by libs of TikTok showed runner-up Thompson storming off the podium as she cursed about the contest. A YouTube video
I'd be pissed too. I'd be pissed. I'd be fucking furious.
was also dug up, allegedly posted on Booker's YouTube account in 2017, in which the weightlifter appears to admit to being a trans woman.
Everyone on Earth is dying to tell their own story, and I am obviously no exception to that. I'm a 21-year-old trans woman with a history of abuse, struggling to stay true to herself while under the rule of her religious parents.
More strong women started coming.
Now, I'm not firmly behind that, only because I am Anytime I hear audio without any sort of video backing to it, it immediately calls up a red flag for me because that audio could easily be doctored. It could easily be just fucking AI generated slop bullshit, right? You can't count on that sort of thing. So you have to do your I can't say this word every fucking time and it pisses me off. You have to do your due diligence. Holy fuck.
Out of the woodwork to bring light to the situation. Three-time Strongwoman winner Rebecca Roberts posted a lengthy caption on Instagram, writing that even the event
Hey, yo.
winner Rebecca Roberts posted a lengthy caption on
Ma'am, you gotta put some more emphasis into those legs. Your poor back, even with that brace, is going to hurt like hell.
Instagram, writing that even the event's organizers were unaware of Booker's alleged biological sex. What happened this weekend wasn't transparent. None of us knew. Not even the organizers knew. And when fairness is taken by surprise, trust in the sport begins to crack. My message is simple. Trans people belong in sport, but women's divisions must remain biologically born female only.
I don't understand. Like, if you want trans people to have their own fucking sport, then make a trans league. What are we talking about? Then the women that want to be men can participate with the men that want to be women. What the fuck are we talking about?
Morgan Irons, a professional strongwoman, also criticized Booker's transparency about.
Hey, she's cute. God damn. Are you kidding me? With the fucking hair like that color? With the fucking eyes? Bro.
About competing as an alleged biological male.
I just want to preface with the fact that I have no ill will or hatred towards the trans community in any way, shape, or form.
Hey, you don't need to preface. You don't need to preface at all. Fuck them. To be fair, I've said this before. I'm not a fan of the trans anything. I think that's fucking retarded. I think we should have never given it the time of day. However, as I've stated, in public, I do not care, right? I will treat you like any other person, right? Any other thing, it, whatever, right? I have no problem being polite simply because I'm just not a confrontational type of person in public. But I have no problem also sitting here and saying, I don't believe in it. I don't care about it. It shouldn't even be a fucking thing. I think it's a fucking farce that we even allowed it to go on this long.
You are free to be exactly who you want to be in this world, as am I. But at the end of the day, this comes down to a lack of transparency and honesty. This individual competed in the women's division as a biological man, plain and simple.
Organizers of the official Strongman Games World Championship took swift action, posting an update on Instagram, claiming they had been urgently investigating the matter and that if they had been aware of Booker's biological sex, then she would not have been permitted to compete in the women's open category.
And this is where people are criticizing them as they assume that they knew and they're backpedaling now, right? Biological sex recorded at birth. Official Strongman is inclusive and proud to run events which do not discriminate against athletes based on personal characteristics. That should be your red flag right there. Any athlete is welcome, but it is our responsibility to ensure fairness and ensure athletes are assigned to men or women's categories based on whether they are recorded as male or female at birth.
Official Strongman is inclusive and proud.
Why didn't you do it? The only thing this does is make you look bad because you didn't do your job. So either you're incompetent or you knew and you allowed it, and now you're freaking the fuck out, pulling a Twitch.tv type shit.
To run events which do not discriminate against athletes based on personal characteristics. Any athlete is welcome. but it is our responsibility to ensure fairness and ensure athletes are assigned to men or women's categories based on whether they are recorded as male or female at birth. Organizers said Booker had violated the contest rules, which clearly stipulate that athletes must compete in the category that aligns with their biological sex at birth. Booker was stripped of her title, and the places in the competition were altered to reflect the disqualification. Organizers said attempts to reach...
Yeah, I did see that. They stripped her of everything, or him, or whatever. Stripped it of everything, and they have readjusted who actually won that competition. And yeah, big W by the organization, doing what they needed to do and righting a wrong. We're getting there. We are getting there.
Booker had failed, and she hasn't addressed the disqualification or controversy. Thompson, the newly crowned world's strongest woman, took to Instagram to celebrate the community that stood up for women's sports. I am grateful to the team for reaching out to me.
I'm grateful for the team for reaching out to me, investigating and rectifying the situation so quickly, honoring the title to me, which is something we just don't see in any other sport that has faced a similar position. This means that we as a community are taking a stand, protecting women's sport as we have fought so hard for, whilst I cannot say it won't ever happen again. I am confident that we will work something out to prevent it in the future.
Investigating and rectifying the situation so quickly, honoring the title to me, which is something we just don't see in any other sport that is faced.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely correct. I mean, any other sport that's had the same controversy, the establishment roached out immediately. Yeah, I thought about reacting to the Eddie Hall, putting his 2 cents in on this. Obviously, you know, former world's strongest man. I think it was like 2017 or 2016, something like that. But the video got posted 8 hours ago, so I'm just going to do my own thing, and maybe we react to that later if you guys are interested. So that is that one out of the way. On to this. I don't even know why they're even doing this. Just let the game die. What are we doing? Assassin's Creed Shadows and Attack on Titan collab. What the actual happened to Assassin's Creed? This shit became Magic the Gathering, where they just do IP collaborations because the game by itself didn't sell anywhere near where it needed to.
We call them Titans. A monster that wields death on a scale you've never seen. We must rescue Godwyn before Albrecht and his fanatics force him to shift and destroy everything you've ever known.
And if Godwyn succumbs, he'll have a Titan.
What the actual fuck is going on at Ubisoft? How much did they have to pay the anime studio for Attack on Titan in order to use that IP? I'm actually curious, because there's no way that they worked with them without paying. Because AOT is bigger than fucking Assassin's Creed Shadows by any means. You could argue the franchise is bigger, but again, I think it's also weird. Like, why would you do a collaboration event? And it's probably because Ubisoft gave them a fat fucking check from where, I don't know, because they're constantly losing money every second they continue to exist. I just don't understand. I don't understand. like, I was pretty okay with Assassin's Creed Valhalla until the later DLCs, where they literally just copied and pasted all the fucking enemies and just changed the color of their garb, which is fucking insane to me. Except for the final DLC. I will give them credit. The final DLC actually had interesting people to fight that were different, with different mechanics and things to do. That was actually refreshing. But before that, horrific. So, I don't know. It's just not even close to enough. Not even close to enough to get me remotely interested in coming to this game and even giving it a second look. So, sorry, not sorry. Yeah, not doing it. I need a brand new Assassin's Creed. No more of this RPG bullshit. Get back to the basics. Just deliver a good game, please, for once. Moving on. Palworld has an update coming this December. Home Sweet Home update. I did see this. I have no idea what this is, by the way. Ultra Kill. I have never played, seen, nothing. Got no idea. That's crazy. Being able to color the house, sick. So sick. Oof. December 17th. I have no idea who they're collaborating with. I've never played it, never even seen it. So let's just double check here. Oh, there is something here at the end. Hold on. Oh shit. Is that a new boss or is that a new pal? Oh, man. Damn it, I want to know. Could you imagine if Palworld did a Monster Hunter fucking collaboration? And you could, like, run around and, like, catch yourself Monster Hunter creatures? Oh. That would be fucking insane. That would be the biggest fuck you Nintendo ever. Actually nuts. That's it for that. Moving on to the political video of the day. Western provinces file mass U.S. statehood petition, and Canada is losing control.
On both sides, that we are stronger together, and it's better to maintain the relationship as it is.
We've had a long-standing trade relationship with the U.S. It's been decades it's been in place, and I think what we're looking for is how do we gain some of that certainty that we had in the past.
Canada is losing control, and I can see it every single time I just look out west. Alberta and Saskatchewan generate the wealth that keeps this country running, and yet Ottawa acts like their voice carries no weight. I've been watching frustration turning into action as petitions are surging across the prairies and people openly are considering statehood with the United States. The West is tired of carrying a load without any influence, and the momentum behind this mass petition is feeling stronger every single day.
I think we're beginning to see a realization on both sides that we are stronger together, and it's better to maintain the relationship as it is.
I watched the trade numbers, and I cannot pretend that the story's complicated. Over 90% of Canadian oil exports go straight into American markets, and the cycle repeats every single year without interruption. Alberta and Saskatchewan operate on American economic rhythms already, and I feel amazed that anyone is still able to act confused when talk shifts towards statehood or continental realignment as a result. The money goes south, the energy goes south, the infrastructure points south, and the population that generates that wealth is also now looking south with a level of clarity that Ottawa failed to see coming.
Yeah, so I think I said this before in the last time we covered this, that it would be awesome to have part of Canada into the U.S., mainly for selfish reasons. But, fun fact, I used to live literally 8 hours from the Canadian border. I could literally drive, hop on that fucking highway, and take that bitch all the way north to the Canadian border and then cross in over into Canada and go on a vacation. Insane. Insane. I can imagine doing that like it's a normal bridge, though. Like, imagine fucking going there and the border is no longer there and you're just in Canada. But you're also, like, not in Canada anymore. You're in the U.S. still, which is kind of nuts. I do think it would be absolutely beneficial for both them and us because, like I said in the previous video, getting back to that, you're guaranteed to have a voice up to the highest level of government in the U.S. Literally everyone, right? Everyone. There ain't a single fucking state that doesn't have representation all the way up to the congressional floor where all of the laws are amended, made, whatever, right? You have somebody who is a very business savvy individual in the office right now, Donald Trump. If there was a deal to be struck, it would be now. I would say fuck those petitions. And I would say I'm going to go talk to the big man and we're going to come up with a proper deal now. And then we can make those adjustments depending on what Canada's next move is, whether they try to get you to realign or they actually go through with this sort of like moral stance that they're taking and not really trying to step on eggshells very much. So I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see how things unfold, but you know, that's pretty much my take.
Alberta will no longer tolerate having our livelihoods threatened, our industries targeted, and our resources landlocked by Ottawa.
I also see the Quebec situation simmering in a way that's adding pressure to an already fragile structure. Polls across that province are now showing support for sovereignty climbing again. And I sense that a second fault line is forming while Ottawa's just trying to hold everything together with speeches and press conferences. Quebec knows its own leverage, from experience. The West knows its own leverage. And so now Ottawa is caught between two different regions that no longer feel represented by a system that rewards central Canada at the expense of everyone else. The timeline for realignment keeps tightening because multiple provinces are feeling this moment arriving at the exact same time.
At the moment, we have a virtually tariff-free relationship with the United States. For all of the threat of tariffs, all of the USMCA-compliant goods don't have tariffs on them right now.
Now, I look back at the pipeline cancellations, the equalization formulas, and the endless climate policy fights, and I see the pattern clearly. Every decision that slowed growth in the West just created another reason for provinces to build a new political foundation. Alberta passed their own sovereignty legislation. Saskatchewan decided to rework their referendum laws. And then Manitoba joined the Western Premier's table with a stronger voice than ever. These steps all feel coordinated because they are coordinated. And I sense that a structural shift is no longer an idea that's being floated at rallies. It's an actual plan that is unfolding with discipline and actual purpose.
I think that's a fair take. I think that's a fair take by him here. I would definitely say that it is smarter to leave as a collective, because then there's like, what the fuck are they going to do? What are they going to try to stop you by force? Especially after you got America's backing? No. Not even close. Not even close. I don't think it'll come down to that at all. Just for the simple threat of us even being remotely involved is enough to make Carney run for whatever hills Canada has for him to run into. But I said it before, getting in touch with Trump should be their top priority, getting a plan together, making a deal, and then bam, 51 through 56, the U.S. is now bigger and better than ever. And then you guys have a lot to do, right? Once you have established yourselves as states of the U.S., you have so much voting to do. So much. You got to get your mayors elected. You got to get your governor. You got to get your senators. You got to get your representatives for the House. And like I said before, if you guys get to the point to where you put in your time and everybody has adjusted, we could even see a president in the U.S. during my lifetime that was originally within, I was about to say Canada, but Canada's borders.
If Saskatchewan or Alberta were simply to declare themselves...
Because thinking about it, if they were to go independent, I do think that Trump would be less favorable with a deal. And then you're also shut out because you no longer have a voice in Canada because they will turn their backs the minute they rid of you. 2, the U.S. will not really consider it as much as you would want because we don't really need to, right? We could continue to bring in your oil and stuff and that, whatever, or we could just cut that off completely. We could either buy it from somewhere else, or we have a lot of spots in the U.S. that we have not even begun to drill out fully. We're playing the long game, right? We're using up other people's natural resources so we can continue to preserve ours for when we need them later.
Independent states, and other states were to recognize them as independent states, and the government of Canada ceased to have any control over Saskatchewan, Alberta.
And then I watched the petition numbers just explode, and I realized that something's changed permanently. The Alberta Prosperity Project and other groups they've built a signature network that has collected over 450,000 names before the official process even reached full capacity.
500,000? God damn.
I sit with that number and I look at it and I feel the momentum behind it. That campaign is being run with the precision of a national leadership race. The volunteers aren't casual supporters. They are tracking really names, districts, schedules, turnout patterns, the way that professional strategists do in serious elections.
The pipeline project for Through Pathways would cost about $10 to $20 billion. It's a big hit. But if we build that pipeline, we would get about $20 billion a year in revenue.
Shit, you become a fucking state? If those 6 states joined up with the U.S., right? Provinces joined up with the U.S., became states. I think Trump would absolutely cut you a massive deal and even help put that pipeline in for you. With all the investment coming into the U.S., I think he would absolutely optimize trade routes and any sort of new access oil pipeline to bring down the price of fuel. And other basic needs. I mean, fucking everything that you have in your house basically had some sort of oil used in order to manufacture it, right? Or produce it in general. So it's kind of nuts.
For the foreseeable future. So that's the reason why I think it's a pretty good bargain. Everyone benefits from that.
People are underestimating what 177,000 signatures actually represents. It's only a small fraction of Alberta's politically active population, and the legal threshold sits within easy reach of a single organized movement. I look at the math and I see the referendum forming with the kind of certainty that usually surrounds provincial elections. Signature drives usually slow down once the excitement fades, but this one, it accelerated over time, and I could just feel the province taking the idea seriously because they're treating it as a protest gesture. And I also see how these signature networks are copying full-scale political machines. There are regional captains, there are digital tracking maps, door-to-door teams, coordinated rallies with live updates on daily targets. It feels like an organized campaign to launch a constitutional process rather than a symbolic petition. This level of discipline is new for Western politics, and I sense a hunger for change that's not going to fade after the next news cycle comes around. The West is building a structure that is designed to outlast political seasons.
The left has accidentally admitted through their own actions that Alberta could leave. In fact, think about it. If independence was so impossible, like they always say, why are they fighting so hard to stop a mere vote?
Now, Saskatchewan and Manitoba are preparing their own versions behind the scenes. We've been hearing provincial insiders talking openly about synchronized referendum timelines that are going to line up perfectly with the 2026 period. A single referendum can be managed by the federal system. Multiple referendums across a connected economic corridor, that's going to create a continental crisis that federal institutions can't absorb. Now, I watch these provinces compare petition frameworks, legal language, and turnout strategies together. They're comparing them. And I sense that the coordination here it's deeper than most Canadians realize. Alberta stands at the center of this shift with an economic engine that is rivaling entire American states, entire big American states. I look at those numbers and I see a province that is producing 87% of Canada's oil with a GDP per capita near...
And they're mistreating them? Almost 100% of your oil reserves, and you're fucking treating them like shit? What the fuck?
95,000 Canadian dollars. That places Alberta right alongside states like Alaska and North Dakota in terms of raw economic power. Those numbers shape identity, and I feel that identity growing stronger as federal restrictions continue to keep holding back projects that should already be operational.
Because deep down they know Alberta has leverage, economic, constitutional, and a lot of popular support for independence at this time.
True.
When I talk to Albertans, I hear the exact same message over and over again. More than 65% of them believe that long-term prosperity is limited by federal restrictions rather than global markets. And that belief shapes things like voting patterns, investment decisions, community expectations. It also fuels a push for independence mechanisms like Bill 1 and the sovereignty framework that's designed to build provincial systems capable of functioning without federal oversight. I've been watching Alberta's pension plan proposal unfolding, and you can sense the deeper message within it. This isn't a financial experiment. This is a province that is preparing infrastructure that can stand on its own after separation or align seamlessly with American systems if continental integration gains traction. A province does not design financial structures like this unless it expects a future where existing federal systems may no longer apply.
When a question is legitimate, the vote is inevitable. That's the real fear in Ottawa at this time. And you can feel the panic. The more they try to shut Albertans up, the more they're proving the movement's point.
I think you strike while the iron's hot. I do. I think the minute you lose momentum for this, it's probably going to die off quite heavily. So it's one of those things like you continue to rally support until you start to see it plateau. And then that's when you really have to start taking action. Otherwise, people are going to essentially think that you're just all talk. All talk, no action. So you have to, when you see that support starting to waver, actually show action toward those maneuvers that you're talking about.
Then I turn over towards Saskatchewan, and the story becomes even clearer. Saskatchewan supplies 35% of the world's potash and provides uranium for energy grids across the United States, from Illinois to Arizona.
Damn.
The idea of those sectors operating inside a continental framework feels entirely natural. More than half of Saskatchewan's exports already move into American markets, which means that the province functions as an economic partner of the Midwest rather than just being a distant region that's tied to central Canada. Polls inside Saskatchewan are showing that more than 60% of residents are questioning whether the Federation still actually reflects their contributions and ambitions. You listen to those concerns and you just hear people describing a future that feels a little bit more aligned with American trade patterns than Ottawa's regulatory pace.
True.
The province has already written its referendum rules.
True indeed.
And I sense that this administrative groundwork reflects serious intent rather than just political theater.
Albertans' future should be decided here in Alberta, not in Ottawa.
Agreed.
This court case isn't a setback. It's a confirmation that Alberta's on the right track and the establishment knows it.
Meanwhile, I'm looking over at British Columbia, and again, I keep shaking my head because it feels to me like the entire continent finally woke up, had some coffee, and noticed what BC actually is. I see a province that moves more than half of all softwood lumber into the American market. That single fact shapes
True.
the entire U.S. housing sector.
Very true.
And yet Ottawa is treating BC like they're just a side note in national planning. I feel the disconnect every single time I hear federal leaders talking about their energy priorities while ignoring the province that actually feeds the American construction industry at scale. BC is already part of the American supply chain in everything but the...
And the thing is, too, like, if you make them states, it's a huge benefit for the U.S. in several ways, but one of the key ways is that it brings down the cost of housing. We are dealing with the migrant crisis. They are getting taken out of here by the thousands constantly. So we're dealing with that, which is freeing up a lot of housing. However, building new housing is also not very good. The problem is because every single piece of that house has to get imported in, and it goes through a gazillion different fucking companies, and each one of those companies want to recoup their losses on each one of those fucking boards, each stone, each piece of metal, each piece of drywall, everything. Whether it's a distribution company, whether it's a production company, manufacturing, anything at all, right? They are all looking to solve the bottom line, right? And they will do anything that they have to do. In generally speaking, it's money that is always taken out of your pocket. It is factored in to the price of the board, and it gets taken right out of your pocket.
Actual formal paperwork. Lumber goes south, demand never slows down, and the
True.
U.S. market depends upon BC forests to keep their housing prices stable.
I would say it goes up, to be honest. I would. Although I still stick to my stance that I would like housing to be made in America by Americans for Americans. And I would still rather push imports to corporations only.
Stable. I keep thinking about how...
Especially because corporations are really the ones who are going to buy out your lumber anyway, because they have the buying power to do so, whereas your average everyday American is likely going into debt just to get the house that they want to live in.
This reality twists the political conversation in a way that nobody in central Canada wants to admit. The United States knows the value of BC, and you can see it in every trade map and in investment flow.
True.
I'm coming from Algeria. We have a story with colonization and wanting to have our own country and not being able to. So we really want to support and not being part of a bigger country as Canada.
And then there's the shipping advantage that nobody in Ottawa ever even understood.
Wait, so the one person with a fucking opinion isn't even from Canada?
And then there's the shipping advantage that nobody in Ottawa ever even understood. Prince Rupert and Kitimat offer some of the fastest routes to Asia. I look at transit times and
true.
I can see BC beating Los Angeles and Seattle by several days. That advantage is massive. American companies see it, international carriers see it, everybody sees it. Except for the people who are writing federal policy in a city that's thousands of kilometers away from the Pacific. I feel the absurdity of that distance growing stronger every single year.
True.
Cascadia sentiment carries its own momentum. And Cascadia sentiment carries its own momentum. I am watching Vancouver and Victoria and the entire Pacific Corridor interacting with Washington and Oregon, and I notice how naturally the connection's forming here. Trade patterns run north to south. The environmental agreements run north to south. Tech companies are treating the border like it's a technicality. Cultural overlap has been real for decades, and I can feel the identity shifting because daily life in the Pacific Corridor aligns a lot closer with Seattle than it does with Ottawa.
Canada is a rotting corpse, and Albertans are tired of being chained to it. We need to cut those chains.
BC's infrastructure tells the same story. Tens of billions in goods move
If this
through
happens,
its
it'll
ports,
be
its
actually
rail lines,
insane.
Its inland terminals. The timing, the scheduling, the
What if
logistics,
we'll have two
they all follow
independent states?
American market rhythms. I look at the entire system, and it feels like BC already functions inside the American economy, and Ottawa's the one trying to keep up. When the West talks about realignment, BC fits into that idea without any friction. Now let's shift gears and let's talk about Manitoba. Statehood would plug Manitoba directly into agricultural networks from Minnesota to Wisconsin. Those routes already handle growing
Get that
volumes every
Wisconsin
single
cheese,
year.
brother.
And Manitoba's producers know how naturally the flow works. When we talk to
So good, by the
farmers
way.
and transport operators who are talking about the busiest corridors, I notice a pattern. Eastbound routes very rarely enter the conversation. The province's future keeps pointing south.
It's not legally binding, on the rest of the country. It doesn't automatically affect separation. It leads to the government of Alberta being able to seek those amendments with the rest of the partners in Confederation. But it doesn't immediately cause anything to happen.
When I do all the math for the trade math, everything clicks into place. Canada sends almost 90% of all good exports to the United States, and the western provinces carry the bulk of that weight. The idea that this system functions as a traditional national economy feels outdated. It already functions as a continental system, and the West is finally reacting to that blatant reality. Equalization formulas take billions from Alberta and Saskatchewan every single year. Climate rules are slowing down major projects. It's that simple. Pipeline decisions are choking economic momentum. I feel the imbalance of all of it every single time Western leaders are talking about growth because the numbers don't lie. When a region is contributing the most, but it's receiving the least control over its future, political shift becomes predictable.
Oh, definitely.
People in Alberta are fed up with being governed by idiotic politicians from Quebec and Ontario that do not understand our province and do not understand that culturally we're far more closely affiliated with our friends to the south in Montana than we are with all of the people in Ottawa.
The western provinces joining the United States would create an economic region that is worth more than 1.3 trillion Canadian dollars.
Oh, yeah.
That number matches the combined output of Texas and Florida. I imagine that kind of block operating inside.
Yeah, I don't know. Their situation is like if I had New York try to enforce its laws on Texas. It just doesn't make any fucking sense.
The American system and the scale of it becomes impossible to ignore. The West would gain full access to markets, full access over resources, and representation that reflects, its actual population and contribution. Statehood would shift everything. Currency stability grows. Federal bottlenecks vanish. Provincial government would step into systems that treat regional growth as an asset rather than an obstacle. Yeah, it sounds bold, because it is bold, ladies and gentlemen. But the math does support the direction of all of this more than any emotional argument from me or anyone else ever could. The next 18 months are probably going to be the most volatile period in Canadian political history. The West...
Oh, it'll definitely be interesting, that's for sure. So, that is the latest. The talks continue to get more and more serious as more and more people, 500,000 people, are already on board and say, fuck Canada, we are wanting to join. Now, if you guys would recall, or maybe you don't recall, I'm not sure if this video ever made it out or not, y'all have to let me know. There was a video where I talked about why you should never listen to experts because experts only see things from one frame of reference, from one very specific line of thinking. So, we have an expert, Dr. Tim Spector, talking about how calorie counting doesn't work. So, just for reference, somebody who uses calorie counting. This guy, Sam Sulek, uses calorie counting. Okay. So he's probably the one that most young people will know, but lifting athletes that use calorie counting. I guess I should. What? Lifting athletes. Oh my god, I fucking... I was looking for people, but I guess we're not going to find that. Well, so Sam Sulek is one. I am also one. And there's been a couple of other people in the industry, I've not watched their videos yet on it, who have also talked about calorie counting. It is continuing to grow in popularity as a way of reformatting the body. And if you're curious, you can also see my own personal journey with counting calories on my Instagram. I detailed every single weight loss transformation that I've had so far, and we're down, I think we're down almost 40 fucking pounds, all from calorie counting and changing my overall diet, and it is the easiest, the best that I've ever felt. Man, let's get into it.
Stop obsessing about calories. There's never been any long-term study showing that calorie counting is an effective way to lose weight and maintain weight loss. It's virtually impossible, even professionals, to count calories.
You mentioned calories there as well, when you were talking about the microbiome. One of my friends is a prolific calorie counter. And, you know, he eats a lot of Domino's pizzas. He listens to this podcast, so he's going to know exactly. He's going to know that I'm atting him. He eats Domino's pizzas all the time. He eats like a real, you know, processed food diet, but then says to me it's all about calorie counting. Now, with all due respect, friend, he's never managed to, I shouldn't say that, but it's not necessarily worked for him in terms of the goal that he set himself. So when I was reading about your view on calorie counting.
So this is what I wonder, right? Because there is, like with anything that comes with fitness, you have to look at every variable when you are making a plan. And this includes any sort of weight loss method, whether it is diet-based of a certain, like pushing certain nutrients in order to get your body to enter a state of which it is favorable to remove body fat, right? If that is your goal, there are many different things, right? And there are different strategies that would be more beneficial depending on, essentially, I mean, everything from your mindset to what it is that you do on a daily basis, because every single one of those things affects how effective it would be for you to achieve your goal.
In your book Spoon Fed, I screenshotted it this morning and sent it.
I'll
to
give
him,
you
and
my
I
take.
said, "You are a bullshitter." That's what I said in the
on
message.
how you want to do it.
And we had a good laugh about it this morning. But what is your view on calorie counting and this idea that we can, weight loss or being healthy is just about having a calorie deficit?
It's complete nonsense.
Thank you.
That's wrong. If you are at a caloric deficit, you will lose weight. Now, it does not guarantee that you will lose fat. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. It does not guarantee that you will lose fat. If you want to lose fat, you have to change your diet, which we will talk about.
Clip that and send it to him.
There's never been any long-term study showing that calorie counting is an effective way to lose weight and maintain weight loss.
Literally anybody. Look at anyone. Look at anyone. See how active they are. You can see the approximate excess of calories that they probably burned. Even if you're within a 50% of what they burnt through that day, and you are within a 50% of the calorie intake that they had that day, it just proves you wrong. It just proves you wrong every single time. Because if you have somebody who is eating a low calorie, a very nutrient dense, low calorie diet, they will be in the best shape of their fucking life. And they will always lose weight. It's not a sometimes, it's an always. The trouble that a lot of people get into when it comes to this stuff is they are not watching how much they are eating on days when they are not active, right? Because people can go through it sometimes, something happens, maybe it's traumatic, like you had a family member pass away or something like that. And you go through a phase where you continue to eat like you were, but you weren't doing near as much as you should. And when that happens, it will absolutely destroy your entire perspective on counting calories, when you should have considered the variable that you will be doing nothing but crying on the couch for a day or two or however long you decide to shut yourself in for, right? You're burning no calories, which means you need to eat less than you normally would, because you are not going to burn enough to not be at a surplus the entire time.
After, the first few.
And to be fair, if you are active enough, you can actually go a couple days and eating in a surplus won't affect you at all. You won't gain a single fucking ounce. But it's that third day when your body starts to deregulate itself and then try to find a new level to set itself at, is when you start getting the weight fluctuation.
Few weeks. So, yes, very strict
common sense,
calorie
by the way.
counting. If you deprive yourself for a few weeks, you will lose some weight. But even if you're successful, your body's evolutionary mechanisms will make you hungrier and hungrier every week you go by where you're depriving yourself.
Right. So,
of energy. Your body will go into sort of shutdown mode, your metabolism slows down, so you're not expending those calories. And inevitably, I'd say more than 95% of people will go back to their baseline, and many go above it. They sort of rebound back if they're doing this style of calorie restriction.
right. Okay, so here I do agree. I do agree with him. But let me show you how you fix that. I think that one of the biggest issues when people attempt to do this, pull up Notepad here. So when people attempt to do this, I think their biggest issue is, let's see, I'm gonna make that a little bit bigger. Let's see. Where do I change the font size? Edit? No. View. How do I change the font size? Here it is. Font. Here, let's go bigger. Let's go 48. Yeah. Okay. So, let's talk about the biggest mistake. We'll call it a CC strategy. Okay. Biggest mistake when people do a counting calorie strategy is they do not alter their diet. You have to alter your diet. You cannot maintain the same exact foods, or you will hit this exact state that he's talking about. When you are first getting into exercising, the foods that you are eating that caused you to be unhealthy are typically not nutrient dense at all. A lot of them are probably empty carbs. They're probably fucking some unhealthy sugars, right? They're just garbage processed yucky food, right? Now, that doesn't mean you can't do it. But the amount of food that you will intake if you try to cut back while maintaining those same unhealthy foods is going to absolutely fucking destroy you, because they are so calorie heavy while being so unhealthy, right? So, the way that you solve this, let's do all caps, how to solve this issue. The way that you solve this is you, let's say you are 250 pounds. Jesus. Let's say you're 250 pounds. Let's say your weight loss goal is 150 pounds. Actually, no. Let's be a little bit more reasonable. Let's go 200 pounds. Okay. This is your start. This is your end goal. Okay. Let's say at 250 pounds, you eat nothing but Doritos, Doritos, soda, Pizza Hut, and let's do gummies. Let's do gummy lifesavers. Or something. I don't know how many calories are in gummy lifesavers. Let's find out. Of gummy lifesavers. Okay, so for every 7 pieces, there's 90 calories. So they're actually not terrible. Okay. So, we'll just use this as a reference, right? So as you are dieting, right? Because immediately, right away, as soon as you get in the gym, you're probably going to lose 15 pounds, eating the same shit that you're already been eating without dieting at all. Just for the simple fact that you are more active, right? For the simple fact that you are more active. So, loss from activity. All right, so this is the output side, right? You are starting to output more calories, and that is causing you to lose weight because you are now more active, right? You are burning through more energy, and it requires your body to restore said energy from some reserve. Now, this does not guarantee that you will lose fat. Let me keep in mind, I'm going to keep prefacing this. Fat is a situational loss, right? It is a buildup of it is a buildup of, for lack of better terms to not overcomplicate things, we'll call it a buildup of energy, right? It is energy that is not used, but it is not burned in a way that you think, right? So I call fat situational loss, right? Fat is a situation where your body does not need to store energy because it is optimally satisfied with where it is, right? I'm trying to find a way to like not get too overly sciencey about it and explain it in a way that could make sense. So essentially, you want to optimize your diet to not need to store fat because you are at the optimal energy level for what the activity level is that you are doing on a daily basis, right? So you're going to lose immediately, you're going to lose 15 pounds easily by just being in the gym consistently and slowly ramping up your activity level, whether you're going in there and just walking on the treadmill, or maybe you bump it up to a jog, or you start doing strength training, right? These things will burn energy, right? They will not burn fat specifically, but they will burn energy. And your body will need to replenish that energy from somewhere. Now, as you continue your journey, let's say you got to 230. Let's be a little generous. Say you got to 230, and this is where you plateaued. You plateaued. Let's do this. Let's say you plateaued right here, and you cannot lose any more weight. It is just not working for you. This is when the deficit begins. So you will now add your first caloric deficit. Now, this is where what he just said will come into play. You can continue to eat what you've been eating, but you will be eating less. And if you do that, you will become hungry. It is a very fast way to lose weight. I'll tell you, you can drop fucking 15 fucking pounds in a 2-week stretch. Easy, no problem. But you will be fucking starving. And your cravings will take over your mind, and you will bounce back 10 times worse than you were, right? So, like he just said, to avoid this, what I would do is I would say, you know that soda that's, let's just say Pepsi. Let's say you drink 2 liters of Pepsi every fucking day. I would look at that and I would say, switch. I would switch that out. But I would continue to drink those 2 liters every single day, but I would drink diet or zero sugar. So you're getting the same input, but they are less calories. They are less dense, right? See, these foods, they're very calorie dense, but they're dense with the wrong calories, right? You are nutrient deficient because these calories are not derived from a place that would give your body the proper balance it needs. So you need to start looking for healthier options while maintaining your weight loss, right? So getting rid of these fucking disgusting, nasty added sugars and shit, absolutely necessary, right? You get artificial sweeteners from the diet, which are not nearly as harsh, right? You don't need so much excess sugar, right? That's a lot of extra energy that is not going anywhere. It's not being used. You just don't need that much sugar. So you'll see that, and you'll lose a shit ton of weight from that as well. Now, in this process, keep in mind at each one of these little like weight checkpoints, let's do another 10 pounds here. Like I said, we're being a little bit generous. Being a little bit generous just to kind of speed things along. So now you're down to 220 pounds, right? Now you're going to hit this point again because you're continuing to be more active. However, the amount of calories you're intaking is no longer a deficiency. You're no longer at a deficit. You are now at a regular caloric intake for this weight level, right? So you've now plateaued here because you're even with the amount of calories that you should be intaking to maintain your weight. So this is the part that everybody forgets. They forget to double down and recheck their numbers, because if you've lost significant weight, so you're now at 220, you started at 250, that's 30 pounds down. That's a huge difference. And because you're down to here, you need to continue to readjust, reevaluate, if you will. And after your reevaluation, it turns out you need to go at a even more of a caloric deficit for your new current weight. I totally fucking butchered that, so just ignore that. So now you need to readjust to a new caloric deficit. After you adjust to this caloric deficit, the way that you do so is you look at the items that you're eating, right? So let's say you find a flavor of Doritos, or not a flavor of Doritos, but a Dorito-like chip, right? We talked about Doritos earlier. So you take those Doritos and you replace them. I've seen this popular thing lately of these protein chips. So you replace them. We'll replace them with protein chips. Super low calorie, super nutrient dense. Nutrient dense. We're not getting bad nutrients here. We're getting very good nutrients. These chips are meant to be consumed in a way that is beneficial to your body, that will jumpstart your body. And as you're doing this, you're continuing to lose fat. You're continuing to lose fat and weight at the same time because your body is not needing to store anything, right? It's not needing it, right? So it says, okay, well, we can break down this fat now. We don't need this fat. We can break it down, right? So let's get to this number. Let's get to the halfway point, or not even the halfway point. Let's get to the 95% point. Let's see, what was the goal again? 200, right? Yeah. Okay. So we're going to get to the 95% point here. 210. Almost there. Almost there. Now, you just did your readjustment at 220. You don't really need to do it here. You don't. You won't need to do another readjustment until you probably get to, I would say, once you get to 195 or 190, that's when you should do your readjustment, because once you break that threshold, that's when things change for you a lot, right? Now, assuming you have continued to do the previous steps correctly and you have stuck to it, you have not reverted or cheated too much, right? Because you can't cheat a little bit. It is a thing. It is a thing. You can cheat a little bit. You just can't cheat a lot, right? If you have one bad day, you have one bad day. It's no big deal. It's not going to kill you. It's really not. Especially once you've been consistent, your body will adjust for that, and it'll be okay with you being on a surplus once or twice a week, right? But you have to be consistent. You have to be disciplined, right? So, we just did this at 220. All right? Our caloric intake was even. We weren't at a deficit. We weren't at a surplus. So we adjusted that. We are now at a new deficit after running our numbers again, kind of doing a reevaluation. We also got rid of the Doritos for a lower calorie, protein-based chip that is basically the same as this, but much better ingredients and way less calories. So we are now at a caloric deficit at 210, right? So we followed everything correctly. Now we're looking at the main dish, right? Which was Pizza Hut. A lot of processed bad calories in Pizza Hut. What are we going to do? How are we going to solve this? Well, the easiest solve is start from scratch. Start incorporating wholesome foods with wholesome calories, with nutrient-dense calories. You're looking to achieve balance. You are not looking to achieve anything crazy, right? I see all these crazy diets, but these diets, they create deficiencies. And the last thing you want to be is deficient, right? So your Pizza Hut is your biggest enemy, and it has been the thing that has carried you this far, but it is time to let it go. You're almost there. You've been dedicated. You've increased your activity level, so it affects you way less than it did, but it's like that one thing that's holding you back. So Pizza Hut has to go. At 210, your goal was 200. Pizza Hut's got to go. Start from scratch, right? We're talking eating some steaks. We're talking some chicken Alfredo, spaghetti, you know? You can make fun, kind of carby type things that'll fill that void that's not so heavy on you. That you can portion out. It's easy to track how many calories on average that these things will have for you. One thing that I've enjoyed is I make these pizza pockets, right? So cool. I get fresh ingredient sauce, right? None of the sauces have any sort of preservatives or anything in it. They're all natural sauces with all natural ingredients, right? Straight out of the frickin' farm, fucking smashed all together, made into fucking like I just had mushroom Alfredo. Oh, I made some chicken Alfredo with a little bit of extra cheese, low-fat cheese, obviously. And it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. It's super low calorie, but super high density in nutrients, in vitamins, right? So good. You follow this, you stick to whole foods, you stick to something, even something like a broccoli salad, right? Because a lot of people, they struggle with salads especially, and I don't blame you. Salads fucking suck. That's why you get something like broccoli salad. Broccoli salad's really fucking good. It's got raisins in it. It's got some nuts in there for a little bit of grains, right? Oh, so good. All right, it's got a little sweetness to it. It's more of a sweet salad. It's not so kind of bland and watery, and you got to drown it in ranch. right? It's a very balanced, very nice, very good. Your broccoli obviously going to give you good minerals from the broccoli, right? So good, right? Now, this is the hardest part, which is why we save it for last. Because once you have committed so far, you're going to feel like a jackass that you even waited this long to make this final adjustment, which is why I save it for the end, because it is the biggest hurdle for most people, right? You can get rid of the other stuff easier, right? And obviously, you know, as your calories have gone down, you have cut back on a lot of this, right? So like even if you're on Diet Pepsi or you're having the zero sugar Pepsi, you're drinking less of it now. And you slowly whittle yourself down. This is the biggest mistake is like people try to go from 0 to 100 or 100 to 0. You can't do that. You do that, you're going to lose every time. You shot yourself in the foot before you even ran the race, my friend. So, start from scratch, start making wholesome foods, start making the change. Again, you don't have to be perfect here, but you just have to start. You have to start switching things out, and you'll make yourself feel so much better. And then eventually, probably, let's say if you're averaging like 3 pounds a week, then 3-4 weeks you will be at your goal. You'll be at your goal, and then once you're here, do what you do. Just do what you do. Do what you do. You know how to get there. You know how to maintain it. Just do what you do. Once a week, enjoy that fucking surplus. Go ahead and have that Pizza Hut. Right? Once a week, that is perfectly fine. But stay disciplined. Stay disciplined for those other 6 days, right? Once a week, maybe instead of Pizza Hut, you're like, hey, I'm going to go out drinking with the boys. Sure. Why not? Why not? Get yourself some Crown and Cokes, you know, have a good night with the boys, get some mixed drinks, you know, having a great time. Perfect. Right? That is something that your body will absolutely understand and adjust to without a problem. Without a problem, so long as you are consistent the other 6 days of the week, right? Or the other 5 days of the week, in case you had 2 slip-ups, or like holidays come around, people like to eat, right? Obviously, you know, you're gathered around with family and stuff like that. And, you know, it is what it is. You know, that green bean casserole do be hitting different on holiday season. So, but that is how I would tackle the counting calories strategy in a way that does not leave you unsatisfied. So what are the things that we covered? The things that we covered is you can do what you want for a little while, right? As long as you are increasing your activity, you will continue to lose weight, right? And once you hit a certain point, you need to start taking things a bit more seriously, right? Put yourself at a deficit. Maybe switch out one of your unhealthy items for the same item, but healthier version of that item, right? And you want to be doing that as you continue to lose weight, right? 220, you plateau again, right? At this point, you've lost a lot of weight from your initial start time. So let's go ahead and reevaluate this and figure out why we're at a plateau. Okay, here we go. We're even with our calories. Let's put ourselves at another deficit. This time, let's change out another one of my favorite snacks for something that I still enjoy just as much, but is much healthier and much lower calories. Right? We're almost at the finish line. We're almost there. We're almost at the point that we've always wanted to be at. What's the biggest problem? What is our biggest weakness? Let's change that up. Let's get wholesome foods. Let's get nutrient-dense foods. And let's continue to be at a caloric deficit. Let me add that in there. And let's continue to be at a caloric deficit. And then finally, we hit it, 200. Do what you want. Do what you do, my friend. You did it. You reached the goal. Now all you got to do is just keep doing you, man. Just keep doing you. And that's it.
Now, calorie counting is a part of that. So people try and say, okay, I'm not going on a dramatic diet, but I'm going to just try and reduce by 10% my calories in the day, which in the old theory was supposed to make you lose weight. Well, it's virtually impossible, even professionals, to count calories. And because
see, this is already bad argumentation. I mean, if you want to make the argument that it is inaccurate, sure. But as I said before, you can be 50% off on both sides of the spectrum. But the theory is not even a theory anymore. It has been put into practice, and there are people who actively use it on a daily basis, and they are actively successful. That's why I wanted to react to this video, so we could talk about those more like variable, nuanced mistakes that people make, because there is a trend that it is oh so simple to do this, and then people get stuck, right? They don't have the cognitive thinking or the knowledge to be able to tackle the problem that is a plateaued weight, right? Or that is I can't get rid of this stubborn belly fat. I don't know why. Like, I did so well and I'm finally at the number I want to be at, but I'm still fat, right? People struggle with that. They don't know the critical thinking that they need based off of the knowledge that they don't have, right? It's just, it happens. It happens. You know, you can't really blame them for it.
They're not very accurate for a start. Everything on the packet, you have to weigh everything.
Okay.
And in restaurants now, we're supposed to have these calorie counts. They're plus or minus about 30%, because portion size makes such a huge difference to it. That and it's been shown in the US to be a worthless exercise anyway. So you can't count them going in. You can't really count your metabolism going out either. We're all incredibly different. You know, your friend's probably been told 2,500 calories is what he's allowed.
Mm.
Well,
it's a baseline. This is common knowledge that it is a baseline. The number, you simply are looking for a number to start, right? So if your caloric intake is 3,000 calories to maintain your weight, but you're still gaining weight, then there are certain adjustments that should be made. Either you are not active enough for 3,000 calories, and this is where honesty comes in, right? So we're going to do this too. Let's do calorie calculator. Bingo, perfect right there. Bingo, perfect right there. All right, we'll use me. We'll literally use me. I'm 28 years old, male, 5'6". Yes, I'm a short king. If there's any Amazons watching this in the comments, feel free to hit me up in my DMs. Listen, I'm trying to get rid of that step stool, brother. All right, anyway, moderate exercise 4 to 5 times a week. Bingo, that works for me. And I'm currently 190 pounds. Okay, calculate. This is a baseline number, right? This is a baseline number. Oh, I actually wonder. That's interesting. The results show a number of daily calorie estimates that can be used as a guideline for how many calories to consume each day to maintain lose gain at a chosen rate. So I am at right now, 2350. Roughly. I usually stick to about 2200, but sometimes I'll float up between 22 and 24. If I know it's a active gym day or I have a very active day at work, I'll probably eat 2400 calories. So I'll eat a little bit above this, right? My weight loss results are this. I go through about 1 pound a week. 1 pound a week, easy. Sometimes 2, even though I don't even eat nearly this much. But because I'm so insanely active, I have a very physically demanding job as far as how, not necessarily like on a strength level, but on a physical fitness level, right? My lungs are running all day. I am fucking constantly running, right? So that is very beneficial for me when it comes to losing weight. So I can get away with having an excess up here, and up here, and still lose weight. I've eaten 3,000 calories 4 days in a row and lost fucking 2 pounds still. Right? Because I am just simply that active. And I think one of my previous videos, I went through my entire day. And when you count how many times I'm active during that day, you can understand why I can eat such an excess and I will be perfectly fine continuing to lose weight every single week, right? The typical person is not going to be nearly as active as me, and I am aware of that, right? So I would stick them closer to these numbers. And if they were at 2350 and they were either maintaining or they were gaining weight, then clearly I need to readjust their number to be just a little bit lower. These are simply baseline numbers, right? So you say, okay, at 2350, you continue to gain weight. That clearly means you're at a surplus at that weight. So let's drop it to 2150. All right, we'll go down 200 calories. Then we'll go down 200 more calories until you start losing weight. And once you start losing weight, then it's like, okay, so this is your maintain number, this is your surplus number, this is your weight loss number, and then your extreme weight loss number is this number, right? Which I never really recommend this unless you're like me and you used to fight and you have to make weight and you're running out of fucking time. And you're running out of fucking time because then you can really cut hard. Then you can get that weight number. Then once you get that weight number, you can slowly kind of readjust by high nutrient dense foods. But I never recommend extreme weight loss. It's just not maintainable for a long period of time. This is definitely one of those things where it's like you have to get it in a pinch, right? This is something I would give an actor for a movie role and they got fucking 3-4 months, right?
Well, that's an average, but it doesn't mean it's related to him. My average is much lower when I tested it. So everyone is an individual, and this is another thing.
Why? Which is why there is a calculator for each individual, and you adjust the number for each individual. I'm not expecting Doc here to be as active as Eddie Hall, right? So I'm not going to give the good doctor here an excess amount of calories than he should be eating when he's going to be sitting at a desk or walking to a room and doing a stethoscope on somebody. Like, he's not that incredibly active. He's spending a lot of time at his desk doing paperwork shit. You're not burning any calories doing that. You're just fucking kind of hanging out, right? So he doesn't need that many calories, right?
We need to move away from this one-size-fits-all guidelines. But I think more importantly is...
I don't know who's pushing the one-size-fits-all thing, by the way. I literally everybody that I see that talks about calorie counting, aside from a few, have been very vocal about you're an individual. It's an individual number. This is simply a baseline. Like, they're very calculated and based on how these numbers work.
That the whole calorie counting assumption means that it doesn't matter what form that calorie is, it has the same effect in your body. Therefore, whether you're cutting out fat calories or carb calories or, low calorie sodas or whatever it is, it's going to be fine. But we now know that's not true.
Not the case. Not the case. I mean, you could look at anybody. Look at anybody. I mean, look at me. Literally, you can go look at my Instagram. I did that exact thing. That's how I got from, I think it was like, I don't know when my first like recorded weight is on my Instagram, but when I got from 216 to 193 was when I was cutting out things like soda, and I was changing the soda to diet sodas. I was changing because I was still like a pretty heavy like whiskey drinker, like, and I still am. I still like my whiskeys, right? But it's just something that I factor in now more or less. Like, I'm not nearly as much of a drinker as I used to be, right? But yeah, I was the 2-3 drinks a night after I get done with a long day at work. It was nice to just pour a little whiskey on the rocks and have a little soda with it, fucking. And I started shredding pounds when I started switching to lower calorie foods, right? So there's like this healthy popcorn. It was like pre-popped stuff, not like the Jolly Time healthy pop stuff, but like pre-popped popcorn that was like some sort of like a protein chip thing. That was pretty good. I enjoyed those because that's why I use Doritos as an example. I'm a big Dorito head. I fucking love Doritos, but they're so insanely calorie dense, and they're calorie dense in the worst way possible because all those calories are derived from preservative, disgusting, nutrient lacking fucking ingredients. So that's why you got to start switching over to those healthy things, because you're eating even less calories, but all those nutrients are much more sustainable and fulfilling and give your body a balance that it didn't have before, right? My body fat percentage is down I'm down like fucking, I don't know, I think I was at like what was I at? Fuck. What's my body fat? Do I have that on my Insta? Let me see. I don't know if I have my body fat percentage on there. I don't want this to take too much longer, but we're gonna give it a shot here, see if I can find it. Where the fuck is Instagram? There it is. Alright, let's look at my post real quick. Let's look at my posts real quick. I do not. Okay, so I don't. I thought I put it on there. Maybe I didn't. Okay. So the timeline. Oh shit. Yeah, okay. Okay, so one of my original Instagram posts, down from 228 to 219. This is from a long time ago. This was when I was a bit bigger of a boy. This is from 2022. Okay, now I didn't have a body fat percentage on there, but you can see as I continue to work out, lose weight. Where is it? And then I do a random scale update because I was in this position, like I said before, where I plateaued. I said the 200-pound curse is no more. there was a time where I was stuck right at 200 pounds. And that's when I got the fucking inkling to start switching things out for nutrient dense foods. Literally, so you guys could see this. This is August 5th of last year. Or not last year. Why am I so fucking ahead of myself? August 5th of this year. On my Insta. Official weight 198.6. Right? So I had broken my ceiling by simply eating the same but less calories, and those calories are super nutrient heavy calories. Right? And then again, what was this? So the following month, the literal following month. Let's see. Oh, not even. Wait, yeah, never mind. It was a month. Little over a month after, I did another update at 194. 194, and then we continued to another update comparing to when I was 216. As you could see, beefy boy, to there. Now, clearly in these two images that you can fucking see that I have lost weight and also lost body fat. You can start to see the abdominals starting to creep through in the front because there is less body fat there peeking over top of them, right? And that is doing it my way. Counting calories, slowly switching out for nutrient-dense foods so that your body doesn't need to feel like it's at a deficiency and stores away energy, right? Stores away fat.
And there's several science experiments which now absolutely nail that. One was in America where they gave people identical meals.
I totally forgot
for 2
I did that
weeks
comparison
in a sort
pic.
of enclosed semi-prison. And one was homemade and one was ultra-processed, both identical calories, macros the same. The group with the ultra-processed foods overate by about 200 calories every day. They kept coming back to the buffet for more. Okay, so yes, the same calories, but the effect on the body meant they were hungrier.
Why is...
What did I say about nutrient-dense foods? What did I say? I said it the whole fucking video. These ultra-processed foods are literally empty calories. There's nothing in them. They're absolutely the worst for you. Eating dense nutrient foods will keep you full longer and more satisfied. But these ultra-processed foods are highly addictive. So when you are shedding these foods, if you shed them too quickly, trying to make instant progress because you're impatient, you will relapse. You will relapse and it'll ruin you. It'll ruin every bit of progress you made. Which is why you have to slowly change these out. You have to find these healthier alternatives. And the more you eliminate, the healthier you'll become.
We don't know for sure. It could be that those chemicals in the ultra-processed foods affect the gut microbes, and they then send signals to the brain saying, eat more. This isn't a natural, this is a really weird chemical. It's doing something weird to me. I'm producing something weird in exchange. It could be that they get absorbed much quicker, so you get a big sugar rush, and the nutrients get in to your body in a way faster than they should do in nature, and so your brain doesn't have time to say, I'm full. It normally takes 20 minutes or so to get that fullness. It could be the matrix of the food, it could be the chemicals in the food, it could be it's affecting the gut microbes. But it also could be things like your sugar spikes. So in the Zoe Predict studies, where basically we've given now 50,000 people in the US and the UK the same foods at the same time of day, everyone's got these muffins, we show that people, 1 in 4 people who have these muffins and are wearing it, we wear glucose monitors, which tells you for 2 weeks what's happening in your glucose. 1 in 4 people get a real sugar dip 3 hours later. So this is where you rise in sugar, which is normal, and then as it comes down, it goes below baseline. But only in 1 in 4 people. And when that happens, those people end up overeating their next meal, and during the day, they feel more tired, more hungry. That's the sort of 11 o'clock slump, if you like. If you've had a carby breakfast, some people feel that, others don't. And what's really interesting is that, so 1 in 4 people eating an identical muffin of identical calories will then overeat by this, another 10% that day. So you can see how that just blows the calorie idea out, that the calories in equals calories out, everything's the same. And the third thing is that ultra-processed food says
that has nothing to do with the calories. Like, I understand what he's saying, that it causes the caloric number to be skewed in one way or the other, right? But as a baseline argument, it has nothing to do with the calorie itself, but the ingredients of which these foods are made from, right? That's pretty much like, I'm surprised he didn't make that argument that the more readily available, like, I would have been more acceptable of this argument if he said that the more readily available food is nutrient deficient, and it's also giving tendency to overconsume due to that lack of nutrients in the food, right? Because the less nutrients something has, the less satisfied you'll be eating it, right? Because you'll get that initial, like, oh yeah, this is good, and then you'll get nothing. And sometimes, like he said, you could even become more hungry because your body is more starved. But it all depends on what kind of weird shit is in the food that you're eating, right? Which is why you have to slowly whittle these things away. You can't just simply take everybody's entire life and throw it in a bin and give them a new one and expect them to be okay with it. It's just not how it works.
It has the calories that's equal to the whole foods, but often they don't account for the fact that it's ground up, it's highly refined. And so if you take like almonds or something like this, they might use ground almonds, and you compare ground almonds to whole almonds, there's perhaps 30% less available calories in the whole almonds than there is in the other ones. So the whole thing is a complete nonsense, and it's
again, this is where it comes back to eating the nutrient-dense foods, right? You can have 300 fucking calories of whole almonds and 300 calories of the ultra-fine, grinded down, fucking synthesized supplemental almonds. But at the end of the day, the whole almonds at 300 calories is going to hold you longer than that super fucking ground down almonds. Simply because your body's process for breaking those foods down require different amounts of energy, but you are still getting the nutrients of those almonds, right? But this is where the focus comes in, right? Now, I think this was more of a video where it was an argument about nutrient dense versus the nutrient deficient. if you wanted to argue that calories are inaccurate because of those nuances not being present, I could see. I would be willing to sit down and have an argument about that. I think that would be perfectly fine. But at the end of the day, I still think it still stands. It still works. It's clearly, as long as you are doing it correctly, right? And fuck, maybe I should write a book. Shit. As long as you're doing it correctly, I think you're fine. I think you're absolutely fine. It's best not to overthink something like this. Usually, when it comes to any solution, when it comes to weight loss in general, it is usually something that was overlooked, that can be reevaluated and readjusted, and your progress will continue, right? But that is always the thing that you should look for first is, okay, where am I wrong, right? Where have I started? Where am I at now, right? Because I do think that people do forget the nuanced side of things.
It's there because the food industry wants you to focus on the calorie, the fat content, sugar, so you don't have to think about the quality of the food. And it's something that they can control very easily, get their profits higher.
That's what I just said.
Keep adding stuff to the product.
You make stuff at home with less ingredients that are more natural, and you will have a high nutrient dense meal that will make you feel satiated and satisfied all fucking day. And you will shred body fat because your body fat doesn't need to be stored anymore. And in fact, your body is going to want to get rid of it because it is an excess that you don't need, right? Your body, you have to think of your body as just one giant muscle, right? And it is consistently learning, right? And as it adapts to your different diet and you're moving around much more, this and that and the other, in a very kind of logical way, it will come to a decision on whether you need to store more energy or if you can go ahead and get rid of that energy because you are meeting the standards of which it needs to survive, right? Which is why when you see some people do these and they're eating these calorie poor foods or nutrient poor foods, they are still fat even at their weight goal. If they make it to their weight goal, they're still fat. And they're like, I don't get it. Well, yeah, of course you don't get it because you weren't doing it correctly, right? So I could see I could see people throwing the buzzwords out and spreading misinformation for sure, but applied correctly, it is a very effective way to lose weight.
Synthetic, when we know that a lot of things they're adding are harmful for our gut microbes. So
Another example, Sam Sulek is another example. That motherfucker eats like 7 fucking eggs. You know how nutrient dense eggs are? Oh my God. It's insane. It's insane. Same thing with me. I eat a lot of eggs. I do. I don't eat nearly as many as him, but I'll get an entire carton of eggs, 18 pack of eggs. I'll get 2 packages of fresh sausage, not processed, not pre-cooked, none of that bullshit. Raw ass sausage. And I will fucking make a bunch of links, and I will make a bunch of scrambled eggs, and I will prep breakfast bowls. And I'll add a little bit of cheese on there because your boy likes his cheese. Don't get me wrong. That's like my highest grocery bill is cheese. 100%. I have 15 bags, 15 bags. I have 15 bags of cheese in my crisper drawer 24/7. I never miss a beat. I always have cheese. Every kind of cheese you could think of. Pepper jack, provolone, fucking Swiss, mozzarella. I even got, what did I just get? Munster cheese. Ooh. That shit. Hey, say what you will. That cheese, you gotta eat it quick though. it does go bad very fast, so you have to eat it quick. But it's so good. Oh. Man, I love cheese. That's probably my biggest weakness, to be honest.
The artificial sweeteners are harmful. The glues, they stick the foods together, the emulsifiers.
And keep in mind, with like traditionally unhealthy foods can also be made in a very healthy way. Just keep that in mind. You like brownies? We'll make a fucking high protein fucking brownie. There's recipes for all of that out there.
Some people react quite a lot to those and they cause problems. So the whole thing is like this giant camouflage. And that's really one thing probably my number one bugbear is to get people to see the light, stop obsessing about calories, and start thinking about food much more as quality and what it does to your body.
Yeah, you still have to track your calories though. You still have to track your calories. You can have perfectly natural breakfast bowls every single fucking day, but if your caloric limit is 2,500 and you're eating 3,500 calories of that fucking breakfast bullshit, you're gonna gain weight. You're eating too much. You are now giving your body an excess of energy. It does not have anywhere to essentially break down to use, right? And when you do that, you will gain weight. It will happen. So you have to understand the numbers. Understand the numbers, right? Make sure your foods are nutrient dense. Eat the right amount of calories and you will shred weight like it is nobody's business. And if you have a bad day or two, don't beat yourself up about it. Really don't. Right? It's all one step at a time. This is not a sprint, it is a marathon, right? Unless you're a Hollywood actor in a movie role that you have to be ready for in 2 months, or a UFC fighter, which are two very extremes, do not fucking worry about it.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the gap.
Yeah, I did enjoy this video. I did appreciate the insight that a doctor has. But I still don't agree. I don't agree. Yeah, in the whole like the weighing of the food thing and all this extra calorie shit. Yeah, I mean, come on, guys. I mean, come on. It's not that serious. It's not. It's really not. But that is going to be it for today's patch notes. Boy, did we have a lot to go over. This is an older video. It is crazy to see like how much calorie counting has blown up since then. But as with anything in the medical fitness industry, things continue to change and evolve year after year after year. So, I mean, that's why as a nurse, right, you have to get re-registered because there is new knowledge that comes out and you need to know this stuff. So, and I'm sure doctors got to do it too, this and that and the other, you know. But that is going to be it. I'm going to let you guys go. A nice, pretty, this might be the shorter end of our patch notes. Hour 53 minutes. So, hey, we're making progress of me not rambling on for 15 fucking hours, but here we are. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Like, subscribe, comment, do all that good stuff. And if you guys can take the time, go check out the different video sources that I had today and give them a like, give them a sub, give them some love. They all deserve it. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.